I've just returned from the fall meeting of the House of Bishops, which took place in Minneapolis this year. The House of Bishops is a gathering of all the bishops of the Domestic and Foreign Missionary Society, which is our official name as the Episcopal Church. We gather usually twice a year to pray together, to strengthen the bonds of affection among us, to practice the unity of the church, and to address issues of importance among us. We discussed three areas, I would say, of most importance that have some bearing on our life in New Hampshire. The first is a conversation about the church's role in addressing issues of institutional racism, which has been referred to as the original sin of the United States, our complicity in the oppression of those who were on our shores before Europeans arrived here, and of course slavery and the slave trade. So there was a great deal of introspection and conversations about how the church can address this topic and these realities of our common lives. As you may know, we have been strong supporters and participants in the Black Heritage Trail, which is a movement to re-educate ourselves and to tell the story of those African Americans of New Hampshire who've had such a vital and important role in the life of our communities. There'll be resolutions about how we continue to offer opportunities to educate ourselves and to be more aware of both the experience of African Americans among us as well as those of Native Americans. So there was a lot of intersection between our conversations at the House of Bishops and our life here in New Hampshire. Another topic that we addressed was that of climate change and how can the church, in our local context, address how can we restore the health and the vitality of a planet which is really suffering and being burdened by the increase of fossil fuels and climate change. A lot of our conversation took place surrounded our response to the invitations of us to participate in the Lambeth Conference, which will take place next year. Lambeth is a convening of all of the bishops within the Anglican Communion at Lambeth Palace, which is adjacent to Canterbury Cathedral. It is a time for all of us to share concerns, hopes, aspirations for God's mission throughout the world, to restore all people to unity with Christ and each other, with God and each other in Christ. This is, again, controversial because although bishops who are married to persons of the same gender are invited for the first time since Gene Robinson's consecration in 2003. Their spouses were not. So there was a great deal of conversation about how to respond to that exclusion of spouses of persons of same-sex marriages. It is a deep, powerful, painful conversation. There are some bishops who have decided not to go as a result of the non-inclusion of those invitations. I will be going. I believe it is important for the Bishop of New Hampshire to be at Lambeth when the previous bishop, Gene Robinson, was not invited. I think we need to show up and bear witness to God's healing, God's mission as it is being furthered here in the diocese. So those are the main themes of the House of Bishops. I was so impressed by the collegiality, even across differences of opinion and theology and understanding of the church. It is a functioning house, and it's my privilege and my delight to serve you as your bishop in those contexts. Thank you.